There we go. Okay, so how long have you been staff?
I've been a member of staff now since October 2003, which is 16 years.
Were you a cadet before?
I was. So I was a cadet for about 3.5 years, and then I went away to university, got myself a life, and then came back and joined as a member of staff.
Why did you want to be staff?
I want to be staff really to kind of give back to the cadets what they gave to me. So before I joined as a cadet, I wouldn't say boo to a goose. I was scared of everything. And the cadets really gave me that confidence. And based on the confidence I got in cadets, I went away with cadets to an activity in the Netherlands, which is road marching, Nijmegen marches, did that twice. And because I did that, when I went to university, I went further afield, so I went to Wales, and then went on an exchange programme to the United States. And they sent me to the United States because I'd had that experience of being abroad already. And then based on that experience, I got given jobs where I could work internationally because I'd had that experience. So really it's all come from joining cadets as this little scared 14-year-old.
What roles have you done?
As a member of staff, I've done a variety of roles. So I joined originally as a civilian instructor. So that's where you don't kind of do marching around or anything like that, but you kind of instruct an individual subject. So I always did kind of map reading and online technology as well, so programming. And then from there, I became a sergeant after a couple of years. So with that, you do the drill, dress and discipline side of things, as well as instructing individual activities. And then from there, I got promoted through Sergeant, Flight Sergeant 1 officer, and then took command of this squadron about 5 years ago now, and then applied for my commission. So I'm now a Flight Lieutenant.
Do you like it and why?
I do like it most of the time. It's good fun. The cadets kind of keep you on the toes. They're an interesting bunch as well. So it keeps you grounded compared with what you do for work every day. With their worries and concerns and things they're trying to achieve, you can try and help them out, and it gives you a great sense of satisfaction at the end of the day.
Name your best experiences as a staff member.
Ooh, best experience as a staff member. So definitely the best camp I've been on was in October 2008. So we went to the Llanbedr Adventure Training Centre in North Wales, and we did a wild camp one evening as well. So I was a mountain leader. I was one of the members of staff on that, and it was great for one main reason. It's not like normal camping where you're on a campsite. This was camping on the side of a mountain in Wales, and there was no artificial lights, there was no street lamps, anything like that. So we had a completely clear night, and looking up at the sky, you could see not just stars, but you could see the dust clouds of galaxies, and you could see shooting stars. That was absolutely amazing.
Name your worst.
Worst experience as a member of staff. Yeah, so there are some camps more challenging than others. So especially when you've got cadets who turn up on camp thinking they're all right with being on camp, but then they have a real difficult time of it. So for example, I've had cadets with kind of mental health issues that I've needed to help out with on the camp, and you know, some of the stories that they've got from their backgrounds are quite challenging. So you've got to kind of put your own feelings to the side for the camp whilst you're helping them, and then when you get home have a good amount of time to process that. They can be quite difficult. I won't say it's kind of a bad experience, but it's a challenging experience.
People don't like teenagers. Why do you work with them?
Yeah, people don't like teenagers. I've never understood it myself personally. Teenagers get blamed for a lot of things in this world, and it's not usually their fault. It's normally the parents' generations. No offence. It's my generation, basically. Yeah, I find it fine working with teenagers. You can kind of talk to them like normal adults, although you do have to obviously give them the same welfare as you would any under 18 child. But if you just talk to them as adults and give them the opportunity to thrive and show themselves, and they actually generally step up. I find it's very rare you have a teenager that just kind of throws it all back in your face and doesn't want to achieve anything. They generally respond very well to challenges.
That sounds like a lot of work. How much do you do a year?
Yeah, so I actually added this up a year or two ago. So during your day job, if you work kind of 40-hour weeks, about 50 weeks a year, that's 2,000 hours. As a squadron commander, specifically as a squadron commander, because there's a lot more work to it, with training and camps that you go on, I added up that 1 year I did 500 hours for cadets. So that's basically a quarter of a full-time job, but we're just volunteers.
What do you do in your spare time?
So in my spare time, what spare time? After cadets, there's not a lot of spare time left, so I tend to kind of walk the dogs, go mountaineering, go snowboarding, do a bit of programming in my spare time, that sort of thing. Would you recommend cadets to others? I would, both to cadets and members of staff, really. You know, members of staff, it can be quite challenging, but it's very, very rewarding, and you don't have to give a lot of time, you know, even if it's just a couple of hours a month. Really, we have a civilian committee where you can volunteer and help with fundraising, so that's kind of the lowest amount of commitment. You can become a civilian instructor, so if there's one thing that you're particularly interested in, be it camping, be it radio, be it computer science, then you can kind of turn up and teach that subject when it's needed, and then there's more commitment the more you want to get involved. But it's really, as much as you want to get involved, I'd definitely recommend it as a very rewarding you know, voluntary charity type activity to do in your spare time. For cadets though, I'd definitely recommend it. There's so many things that people expect you to know going into the workplace that you won't have been taught in school. So teamwork, leadership, verbal and written communication skills that you will pick up in cadets just by being here. So there's definitely, it's very rewarding from that perspective. Plus it gives you the self-confidence and the ability to talk in front of people. So, you know, I went from a 13-year-old kid with not being able to talk in public, whereas I now regularly talk on webcasts or to customers I've never met before, or to, you know, a room full of 1,000 people, and it's not a problem at all. So yeah, it's very, very rewarding, and, you know, really gives you something you don't get anywhere else.
What achievements have you earned and why have you got them?
So I've done loads of awards over the years, so mainly things like adventure training, first aid awards. You do get awards, being a member of staff and being a uniform member of staff, you do get things like the Queen's Jubilee Medal that came out a few years ago, so I got that, and this year I was presented with the Cadet Forces Medal, which is the medal for doing 12 years uniformed service in the Cadet Forces. I've actually now done 14, it just took a while for the medal to come through. But yeah, so you do get things like that, but really it's not about the medals, it's about the experience, and it's about what you get out of giving back, but it's a nice thank you to have at the end of the day, to have these awards as well.
Who is your favourite cadet?
Yeah, we don't have favourite cadets, honest. Occasionally you do get cadets that you treat as kind of projects, and that's mainly because you see something in them that you recognised in yourself when you were younger, and you think, okay, this person needs the same kind of help I got, so you try and help them. I wouldn't say they're like favourite cadets, but certainly there's some that you put a bit more effort in certain areas than others, just to really help them out. And there are occasionally cadets that are really not your favourite, but normally it's just occasionally they get up on the wrong side of the bed and they act like idiots for a day, and then the next day they're over it. But that's the main type of thing. But no, we don't have favourites, honest.
The next one's, who's your favourite NCO?
Favourite NCO? Staff or cadet? No, we don't have favourite NCOs either, but certainly, you know, you watch these cadets join at kind of 13 or 12 now, and they work all the way up until they're 20, some of them. So they can be in cadets for 8 years, and just seeing the amount of growth in them as individuals in those 8 years is massively rewarding. So, you know, they do become almost like, you know, nieces and nephews almost by the end of that period, because you've known them for 8 years, and it's a huge amount of time. But yeah, you do look after, you know, you do keep an eye on what they do in the future and what they go on to do, whether it's in, you know, civilian work or whether it's in the armed forces as well.
How do you put up with all those peathers?
Yeah, so we do have lots of peathers on the squadron. So yeah, it's interesting. We do sometimes get families come through, be it generation after generation. So we've got some cadets whose mothers used to be air cadets and now they're in the cadets. We also have brothers and sisters and siblings, so we've got the peathers as well. So one of them's now a sergeant, one of them's joined the army, and the youngest one is a cadet and has been a cadet for about a year now. So yeah, you do see waves of families come through the cadets, which is quite nice because it means that, you know, they all see the value in it and they all enjoy it. And even if they don't get on at home, they tend to get on here as well. So
the next one is, do you enjoy your job here?
Yeah, most of the time I enjoy my job here. Sometimes not. You know, some days are more challenging than others, mainly the ones with paperwork. Yeah, paperwork's a nightmare. There's a lot of it, mainly as a Squadron Commander, but if you're a Squadron Adjutant as well, you get a lot. And the Training Officer gets a lot as well. And that's probably the worst thing, is the admin. But yeah, most days are good days. You know, there's only one day a month maybe that's kind of a bad day. But it's mainly bad because it's challenging. And then a couple of days later you get over it, dust yourself off and you're back at it again.
How long did it take you to become an NCO as a cadet?
Yeah, how long did it take me to become an NCO as a cadet? So I joined cadets quite late. One of my friends, Dwayne, dragged me along one night and I really enjoyed it, so I stayed. So I joined at 14 and a half, which is very late. Even before the age dropped to 12 from 13, it was still quite late to join. It took me, I think it was about 2 years to get promoted to corporal, but then within 14 months I'd gone from corporal to sergeant to flight sergeant, and then I left as flight sergeant at age 18 when I joined university.
That's it. That's everything.
Cool. You got any more questions for me?
I don't.
Alright, cool.